Okay, good afternoon and welcome. I have a new setup and I am testing it out right now. I still have a few things that need to be improved, and I know what they are, and I have solutions for them on the way. But this is going to be pretty much my new working setup, which you guys probably won't notice much of a difference, but hopefully things will go smoother, and that's where the difference is going to be noticed. Just because it's this setup that I'm using right now is more ergonomically correct for me right now. It's what I can work with. I'm just working with filming my screen, so I've switched to my T3i, my backup camera, because I don't think using the 5D is a good choice, just because I don't want to put wear and tear on it, and it's just shooting my computer screen, which this can do just fine. I don't need really fine video to shoot a computer screen. I'll check this out. If there's an issue with it that I have to change something, then I'll work on it. But anyway, back to what I'm supposed to be doing today, or not back to, how about just moving on to what I'm supposed to be doing today. And I'm supposed to be doing this photo. And I like this photo. It's really cool. It's I guess it's a skull vodka. I think it's Crystal Head Skull Vodka. It's one of the small nips of it, or whatever you call those, the small 50 milliliter bottles of it. And I put blue food coloring in this, and this is something I did years ago, maybe 5-7 years ago, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, it just sits around, and it's just something I have kicking around, and I've taken photos of this in the past, but I did some more recently. So this is just the eye socket of the skull. Yeah, this is a pretty cool photo, so to make an HDR out of, if it actually works out the way I want it to work out, which is just looks good. Excuse me, I'm still sick. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'll try not to do that. Moving on. So yes, so I'm going to load all 3 images into my Photomatix Essential 4.1.1, and there's many other programs that are very good, but this is the one I use right now. I don't do a whole lot of HDRing these days, especially with the professional camera, but I'll still do them on these just because they make the photos look interesting and nicer. But I don't generally submit these unless they're very mild HDRs. I generally don't submit them for any kind of approval for anything. I'll post them, but I'll post them knowing that this one's a little ridiculous. It's not going to get a partner image, but I don't care. They still are useful for other things. So anyway, let's get back to that. So alignment and deghosting options is the first thing that pops up. And I know I've gone through this in the last video, but I think this one will be a little better. So anyway, so you want them to, sometimes you want, align bracketed photos, which means it's going to crop some of them if they're off. I don't think these are off at all. I use precision shooting with a stable tripod, so I'm going to select no. If you know there was movement, or you see like blurring in your image, you're going to want to turn that on and see what happens. It doesn't fix everything. See how it says crop aligned images? So I'm not sure how they do it. Well, it says corrects misalignment problems, camera moves slightly between the bracketed frames. Always check this option when your bracketed photos are taken handheld, but do not check it if they are attached or stitched, panoramas, or derived from a single raw file. So basically, yeah, it's just movement. It corrects for movement. If you're doing handheld photos, which I was using a tripod. And don't check them if they're panoramas, which I've taken a few in my life. I really don't like panoramas for some reason. I don't know. I've never gotten into them. Let's put it that way. I don't go, oh my God, I hate panoramas. I don't know. I just don't do them. So I don't think I'd be very good at them, except I've only done like 5. But or derived from a single raw file. Yeah, if you're using a single file, you're not gonna. There's no bracketed photo, so you don't want to align the photo to itself. It doesn't make sense. But Anyway, removing ghosts, and this is same thing. It has to do with, it says check this option only if your scene includes objects that have moved between bracketed shots. Otherwise, leave it unchecked. Removing ghosts lowers the quality of the merged image. So you're trading off, getting rid of artifacts caused by movement, either handheld shots, or if the subject moves, or maybe the trees will move, maybe the leaves will blow, or something like that. So on this image, no, nothing moved. If anything moved, it was a slight earth movement, which is going to be very mild, or a house movement, which is going to be very generally mild. So I'm not going to have that problem. So I don't want to do that because I don't want to reduce my image quality. But, if you see like artifacts, someday I'll get into issues about artifacts, but I'm not going to do that today. And I'll show you what artifacting is and why you want to remove ghosts sometimes. I'll have to find a good example of that. It's just, I got a lot of things on my schedule, and that's not what I'm going to be doing today. Anyway, moving right along. So I'm going to check no on the remove ghosts, hit OK, and then we're going to go to, and on the left you have all your how-tos. I'm not going to read those today. I don't think it's good to get into those. And let me look at this image really closely. I don't want to get in the way of the camera. It's okay as it looks right now, but I don't like what it's doing at the moment. So I'm going to go on my right hand, and I'm just going to check and if I'm struggling a little bit, it's just because I'm a little off, getting used to the off angle. But it doesn't seem, I kind of like that one right there, but it doesn't seem too bad to me because this is my first video using this setup right now. Time is okay. And I do have limited time here because I'm not editing and I really don't want to be interrupted today. It looks kind of cool. I like the blue though. I don't know. I know these aren't. That's why I use them for this, because these aren't the finest photos that ever existed. What is that? Soft 3? No. Creative? Nah, I don't like that. It's too blotchy for me. Whatever one you choose is going to be your preference. I had one I liked, and I think it was this one. And you know what? It's difficult. Some of these you have to really go through and adjust the strengths on to get what you're looking for, because they do vary. Like, for example, like Painter Relief 4 is there's a strength 100 on it, and then 5 it goes strength 8.0. So some of the values do change in this program. Same thing with color saturation. Some of these are 1 to 10, and some of them are 1 to 100. And I guess it really depends on which preset you're using. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with this one, and I'm just going to really kind of see, there's everything merged, but without any of the effects we're using. So I'm not looking for that. I think that's a little too out of control for me. I like to make them just enough. That's my preference, is just enough to give it a little pop, but not make it look like it's in another dimension, so to speak. If you like that, you can definitely do it. And some people do it. And I used to do it a lot, but I don't do it much anymore. Let's see, I might want to take the color down a bit on this one, just because it is very blue. I think it might look nice to have some of the grays in there, and I would Photoshop this afterward, and some of the purples, but I don't want too much of it, because I'm trying to define, and I don't have my pointer on me today. It's missing again. I'll have to do without it. It's not too important. I can use my fork to point out. There's an area right here that you'll see the purples. I'm trying to see how it kind of, to the blue, it kind of lets that color right there come out. I'm trying to balance that with the blue. I'm gonna go with that just for time purposes. I like that. It's because I want that color to come out in my photo. And we're just doing compression here, just dynamic range, which means it just brightens the shadows basically. And it darkens some of the highlights. So it's really, you know, this kind of stuff is really by eye. I mean, there's no right or wrong here. And it's really by preference. I couldn't tell you what you would want for your photo. I'm gonna go with that right now because I want a more realistic kind of look, but I don't want it makes it look a little more surreal on the surreal side. Let me move it back towards the normal side. Yeah. No. You know, sometimes it takes just kind of looking away from the image and just looking back at it and focusing in and out with your eyes. You know, it's hard to do these edits to something you like in one shot. I used to do like 3 or 4 of them, and I'm like, I still don't like these. But I've done this long enough that I can usually get one on one shot. I mean, not always. I mean, sometimes I'll go back and I'll go, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? And it's just like, ugh. But, you know, it's not good to go back, especially if you've either submitted. In my opinion, I don't like to work back in time. It's just like I just put it aside and I say, you know what, that was good enough, and I'm just gonna do something else now, and that's it. You know, I was cleaning out a car today. I was looking at my stuff from 2012, and it's like I pulled up in a picture. I'm like, oh gosh, what was I thinking? And it's just like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I was thinking because that was 2012, and you know, I just kind of laughed and I said, well, and I remembered how I was back then. You know, I'd take a picture of just about anything. I thought it was exciting. Nowadays, it's like, it's like, no, I think this isn't any good. No, nope. I mean, I liked everything back in the day. I'd take a picture of the worst possible things, and it was like magical to me. But you know, I mean, it was just something funny I was thinking about today. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking back in those days, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to remember my value to -2.6, and this video cut for some reason, and I'm going to have to check that out. That's an issue I'll have to sort out. So anyway, 4.0, 3.4. Okay, for video purposes, I'm going to go with my original and just say I'm happy with that, -2.6. If we could get that up there, somewhere around that, it's good. That works for me, and I'm going to go ahead and finish my image. And then noise reduction, it adds processing time, but it is recommended if you're using RAWs, which I am using RAWs. RAWs are way more accurate than standard JPEG files. If you're doing any kind of serious work, definitely use RAWs. Editing JPEGs is, if I don't know, I personally, it's just any serious photographer works with RAWs. That's just the way it is. Anyway, so we're going to reduce the noise. Yeah, I'm not going to get into RAWs versus JPEGs, but you know, maybe that's something I can do for a PowerPoint. I don't know. I am working on polarizing PowerPoint, but I kind of backshelved it just because I've had other things that have come up that seem to be more important than me talking about polarizing filters right now. So you can sharpen it. I never do this on here. You can do the contrast. You know, you can go crazy and make a cartoon out of it, which I'm not really looking for with this one. I'm just gonna go with none for now. I'm gonna edit this in Photoshop. I mean, if you don't edit in Photoshop, if you want to do this quickly, you know, you can do it here, and you can do image sizing again here, but I generally wouldn't do it. So let's go skull, my skull eye socket, my skull eye. Yeah. So let's go ahead and save that file, and we have it right here. for our viewing pleasure. It looks pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. I could do a lot of stuff with this in Photoshop and on other programs. I don't know. I like it. I mean, I can see how somebody would look at this image and go, what is that? But maybe that would be part of the interest of it. And you know what? And that, you know, if I were to use the whole skull thing, I think some of the areas of this photo could be used as like maybe I could take this and turn it into something, or this and turn it into something. I mean, you could do a lot of things with this. It's just good raw material, and the HDR makes it a little more interesting to look at. So I would just take this in Photoshop and play around with it and just see what comes out of it. And that's sometimes how I pick photos apart. And the closer you get into things, the easier it is to use stuff that, as long as it's undistinguishable from a brand or anything like that, you can use it. So even though this is a commercial product, I can use this little area because nobody would know what that is. Okay, I'm going to end this video here, and I hope everything worked out. I know I made one cut, and I hope those stitched together good. And that's it. I'm gonna be making another editing video very shortly. Hopefully I'll make it Sunday. All right, thanks, take care.